He was a young lad, early 20s, and he sat down in the chair, so this was a counselling session, and he said, look, most lads my age look at porn, I know that, but I'm a wanker and nobody wants to be a wanker. And I think just in that sentence, it really kind of epitomised the sense of shame and dependency that he had on his usage of pornography. Hi, I'm Dr. Paula Hall and I'm a sexual and relationship psychotherapist. I've been specialising in working with compulsive sexual behaviours and porn addiction for about the last 15-18 years. And I'm here today to answer questions from the Honesty Box. So, question number 1. Why did you decide to work with porn addicts? Oh, gosh, okay. So I was working as a sex therapist and it kind of wasn't a decision. Porn addicts started coming to me. I started having more and more clients saying that they were struggling with these kind of compulsive behaviours. They wanted to stop. It was causing all sorts of problems, but they couldn't. And I wanted to help. Frankly, I wasn't going to specialise in this field, but there was nobody else really doing the work. I had a real heart for it. Yeah, this is now what I do. Why is porn such a taboo? Because it's about sex. And we don't like talking about sex, and it's a bit of a British thing perhaps, but it's to do with sex, it's to do with masturbation, it's a very, very personal, private thing. So yeah, I think it's only natural that it's taboo, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be talking about it. Is porn addiction real? Okay, so this is a question that comes up a lot. So technically, no. We do not yet currently have sufficient research that supports that pornography sex actually classify as an addictive disorder. What we do know is it definitely is a disorder, but we're not sure whether or not it's an addiction or a compulsion or an impulse control disorder. Having said that, all of the latest research is pointing in the direction of an addictive disorder. What's the worst case of porn addiction you've treated? Oh, define worst. Yeah, it's interesting because people have different kind of rock bottom moments, as we refer to it. So I've heard some kind of worst case scenarios where it being found out in public, so being caught watching it at work and that being absolutely devastating. Mum walking in, that's the absolute classic one. Messages being accidentally sent to the whole family chat rather than being sent to on a different kind of chat. So sometimes the worst case scenario is kind of because of the consequences rather than because of the actual behaviour. For some, there's where it's strayed into illegal territory, so watching pornography that's illegal, for example, images under the age of 18 or bestiality porn in the UK is illegal, then you might define that as the worst. For others, it is about the amount of time. It is, and actually one case does come to mind that I do remember. He was very much a binge watcher, so he wouldn't watch pornography for days and days on end, week, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, but then it would be, he could start at 4 o'clock on a Friday and go right through until 7 o'clock on Monday morning when he had to get up and go back to work again. So literally the whole weekend, no food, no drink, no nothing, literally that whole stretch of time. Yeah, that took a real heavy toll on his health as well. Oldest client, chap in his 80s. I was a smirk just remembering him. He's a great guy. Have you ever laughed in a session? I have laughed in sessions till there are tears rolling down my cheeks. You've got to have a sense of humour in this. And I think so much of the work I do is about shame, and there can be so much shame that people feel as a result of what they've done. And actually being able to see the funny side of it, therapeutically, you understand, at an appropriate time is really important. So that the old laughter is the best medicine, I'm all on with that one. Is porn addiction curable? Yes. Porn addiction absolutely is curable. I have got tons and tons and tons of client evidence, user evidence that it's curable.
What's the average time frame that it takes for somebody to recover or cure their porn addiction?
The vast majority say they've been struggling with the problem for more than 5 years. So for many people, it's a long time before they begin to get help. But when they've made that decision that they want to change, for some people, it's instant. Are you anti-porn? This is the one that I was expecting. No, I am not anti-porn. I think it depends on your definition of porn. Porn is, technically pornography is anything that we find erotic, anything that's sexually stimulating. Michelangelo's David, a very famous statue, very erotic, very lovely. Definitely think we ought to be keeping that. If it's two consenting adults engaging in things for recreational purposes, I've got no problem with that at all.
Do you think quite a lot of people are surprised by your stance on porn?
I think there can be an assumption that if you work in pornography addiction, you must be anti-porn, which has always slightly annoyed me, frankly. If I worked in alcohol addiction, nobody would assume that I was anti-alcohol and nobody would wonder whether or not I'm having a glass of wine tonight. But because I work in pornography addiction, there's an assumption there must be some kind of moral element. For me, this is much more about mental health rather than about morality. There are people out there worried about the morality of porn, and it's really important that those people are there and doing that work, but for me this is a mental health issue, not a moral issue. I've been asked that one a lot. Okay, when did porn addiction become a societal problem? First thing I thought when I read that is it a societal problem? In some respects, I don't think it's enough of a societal problem. I don't think enough people really recognise how serious this problem is, whatever you want to call it. Some of the research we've done showed that 51% of people have felt actively suicidal as a result of their unwanted behaviour. It's a serious problem, and actually I don't think society is taking it seriously enough. What are other signs someone is addicted to porn? I think you kind of know in yourself. I think that perhaps the first thing I want to say is that addiction is like a continuum disorder. So you get people very much at the milder end where it's just a bit problematic, getting in the way a bit, stayed up too late last night, turned down the chance for real sex because I ended up watching porn, right to the other end where it's definite addiction, where you're completely preoccupied by it, all sorts of huge problems going on in your life, but in spite of that you can't stop. So it kind of depends where you are on that continuum. But basically the bottom line is, you've got a problem if porn is causing issues for you, but in spite of those issues you can't stop. It should be a choice. It should be a recreational choice, not something you feel compelled to do that's causing problems in your life. Does porn addiction equal wanking addiction? Good question. It doesn't need to. So there's one of the things that often comes up, excuse the pun, that's why there's humour in this, because there's so many unavoidable puns. One of the questions that is, if I'm not watching porn, does that mean I can't masturbate? And an assumption that watching porn is always associated with masturbation. I guess another sign that you might have a problem with pornography is that you're not actually using it for masturbation. If you're watching porn purely for the function of getting off, if that's it, so it's 10 minutes, half an hour, maybe a whole hour if you're having a really enjoyable, engaging sesh, but that's going to be its means to an end of. I think when you really recognise it's a problem, it's because it's not being used for wanking. It's being used as a way to escape other difficult issues, feelings, reality. So it's certainly not the same thing, and one of the elements of recovery is really about being able to separate out healthy masturbation, which is absolutely A-OK, from pornography, compulsive pornography use. So I remember one client in particular coming to me, and he was a young lad, although they're all young lads to me these days, but he was a young lad, early 20s, and he sat down in the chair, so this was a counselling session, and he said, look, most lads my age look at porn, I know that, but I'm a wanker and nobody wants to be a wanker. And I think just in that sentence, it really kind of epitomised the sense of shame and dependency that he had on his usage of pornography. But yeah, it really is quite a different thing. And I think one of the things that people don't understand about porn addiction and sex addiction is it's not really about sex at all. And getting into recovery should be about enjoying sex more, enjoying masturbation more, reclaiming your sexuality. It's not about actually dismissing it, being frightened of it, pathologising it. Recovery is all about making sex better. Am I weird for watching lesbian porn if I'm straight? No. Simple answer to that one. Plenty of people do it. I can only come if I am watching porn. How do I stop? So this is someone who has got dependent on pornography. If you get used to masturbating always with a very, very high level of arousal, then you get dependent on that. I'm going to use another food metaphor. If you put chili sauce on your food every single day, at first it's just to make it a bit spicy and oh, that's really nice. But if you keep doing that, you're going to need more and more and more. So this is kind of the escalation. And then what happens is you go to eat something without any chili sauce because you run out of chili sauce and it tastes completely bland. And it's, your taste buds have got so used to that level of stimulation that actually it's very hard to taste anything without it. And exactly the same can happen with pornography. You get dependent on that high level of stimulation. To pornography, if you're trying to give up porn, if you're trying to cut back on your porn, it's really important to learn to masturbate without pornography, to learn to masturbate mindfully. So learning to just enjoy your body, enjoy the sensation of touch, being fully present and just turning off the screen and just enjoying yourself, literally enjoying yourself without anything else. It's a bit of an art. I know a lot of young people who've never masturbated without pornography think it's impossible, but trust me, masturbation has been around a heck of a lot longer than the smartphone. I'm a virgin, but I've watched porn. Am I ready for sex? That's an interesting question. I don't know. Are you? My gut response is probably not. If you're asking the question, you're probably not. You're ready for sex when you meet somebody that you like and you want to have sex with and they want to have sex with you. It's such a huge difference between pornography and real sex. Porn is just the edited highlights. So assuming we're, it's fairly good, wholesome porn, whatever that means. It's the edited highlights. It's only the good bits. You don't get any of the awkwardness. You don't get any of the questions, any of the stuff around consent. You don't have the, the messy stuff afterwards, all that kind of thing. It's just not the same. It's the edited highlights produced for entertainment, and unfortunately real sex isn't like that. Real sex is different to that. How do I stop comparing myself to women in pornography? The bodies in pornography are nearly always aspirational. I think there's a difference between inspiration and aspiration, and a lot of people look to pornography for inspiration, new things that I can do, new things that I might try, and that's absolutely fine. But don't make it your goal. Don't make it aspirational. That has got to be your goal to try and achieve that. You're not going to achieve what they do in pornography. Is it healthy to like watching porn during sex? Only if your partner wants to as well. Otherwise, frankly, it's just downright rude. If you and your partner want to watch porn during sex, that's absolutely fine. Is porn addiction nature or nurture? Yes, is the answer to that one. Actually, distinguishing between what is nature and what is nurture nowadays is really quite difficult. In all addictions and compulsive behaviours is that there is a biological element. Some people are biologically predisposed to developing these kinds of issues, but also it does depend on your environment as well. It depends on opportunity. And the smartphone, of course, has given us plenty of that. It depends on your opportunity, it depends on other issues that may have come up in your life, but there is an element of predisposition that could be biological as well. Oh, who is most likely to be addicted to porn? Men and guys, I'm afraid. That is what the research shows. It is predominantly a male issue. Interestingly, I don't think there's an age difference. It's certainly in the work I'm doing, we're seeing more and more younger people, but that's probably because of accessibility to support and services, so being able to provide a service that's accessible to younger people. But I often say it's an equal opportunity addiction. Doesn't matter what gender you are, what sexual orientation you are, what your race is, your faith is, your age is. Actually, pretty much anybody can get addicted to this, but we do tend to see more men than women. Why do porn stars all have massive penises? Because that's what they think we all want to watch. How does porn addiction impact relationships? Any addiction can have a massive impact on relationships. For partners particularly, often it feels like a betrayal as well. So I've worked with lots of partners, and often partners have absolutely no idea. They're like, but you don't even like sex. And actually it's because they've been watching porn all the time. So they often feel very, very, very betrayed by it. So it can have quite a damaging negative impact on relationships for sure. In fact, in the pivotal study, it was, I think it was 87% of people said that it was having a negative impact on their relationships in terms of getting into a relationship, but also maintaining a relationship and conflict in a relationship as well.
In your experience as a therapist, do you find lots of people think watching porn in a monogamous relationship is considered cheating?
I think frankly doing anything behind your partner's back is cheating. And that's not to say that you don't have a right to some level of privacy, and there's a difference between privacy and secrecy. But I think all couples, particularly nowadays, should be having conversations about that. Is porn okay in this relationship? Will we watch it together? Is it okay on your own? How often is it okay on your own? You know, is it just when we're apart, away, or... I mean, I think it's a conversation to be had.
So it's healthy to discuss porn habits in a relationship?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right, I'll call my boyfriend.
Are young people watching more porn? Yeah, I think that's almost certainly the case. But we've got more accessibility to the smartphone, so almost certainly, yes. Be really interesting to see what the stats are in like a year, 2 years' time now that we've got age gating. A lot of people can't remember their first exposure to pornography. They can't remember the first image that they saw. But I think some people really misinterpret it. They assume that a young person's first looking at porn is something erotic, and often it's not. Often it's more of, oh, look at this, oh, that's gross, oh, that's vile. It's a bit like looking at a scab or looking at... So often the first exposure is a giggle, is a laugh, is a moment, which is what kids do in playgrounds. So I think we have to be careful not to get over pathologise that kind of stuff. I can still remember at primary school when, what's his name? Tony Mitchell brought in a condom. I was at primary school, I think I was about 5, 6, and he brought in a condom, and everybody was like, oh my goodness, and I giggled and I laughed. I hadn't the foggiest idea what it was.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I don't even know if Tony Mitchell knew what it was. If you're listening, Tony, let us know. I think I have a porn addiction. What should I do? Okay, reach out for help, first thing. Well done if you're acknowledging it. Do the Am I an Addict test on the Pivotal Recovery. That will help you get a sense of how much of an addict you might be and what you might need to do about it. But don't panic, you can get help. Help is out there. Does porn really rewire your brain? Yes, porn definitely does. However, learning French also rewires your brain. Learning to play the piano also rewires the brain. Anything we do on an ongoing, repetitive basis rewires the brain. I think the question is probably, does it rewire your brain in a damaging way? That's probably the question, and that depends on the individual. But yes, every repeated behaviour we do rewires the brain. So yes, in short. What causes porn addiction? Oh my goodness, a whole different mishmash of different kinds of things. So certainly we know some people might be biologically predisposed. We know that people with ADHD and ASD are disproportionately represented in the people that develop addictions. Exposure, obviously, having the opportunity, having the exposure to it. We know that people struggling with anxiety, depression, low self-esteem may be more susceptible to developing it, but also it being maintained. I think bottom line, though, if I had to think one thing, what causes porn addiction that we could address now, and that's education. What causes porn addiction is lack of education. It's too much easy availability and lack of education. And I think if we could crack that, we could significantly reduce it. What is the future of porn? Well, AI, of course, that's the next step, AI porn. Haven't got the foggiest.
Do you think we'll all be having sex with robots in the next 10 years?
Will we all be having sex with robots in the next 10 years? I think they'd be too expensive. Well, we all want to have sex with robots. I think there is something about human touch that we are always going to need. There is a level of connection and community in physical touch that we need. And sex isn't just about eroticism, it is about connection, it is about intimacy. And we're not going to get that from a robot. So I don't think the human race is going to die out because of partnered sex, because I think we still want that level of connection and bonding with another human being.